Now I would like to introduce you to Amelia Joubert.
Dear younger me before my diagnosis, you're not stupid, crazy, or worthless. You've been dealt a bad hand, but I promise it doesn't make you weak or dumb like you feel you are. There's some things at play that you don't know about yet. There's a reason that you don't remember class yesterday, that you have a test today you don't even remember being talked about before. Not everyone has these gaps in memory that are anywhere from a few minutes to a few days. There's a reason that you don't remember much of anything before middle school, or that when people call your name, it doesn't feel quite right. There's a reason that you flinch at loud noises. You suddenly feel like you can't breathe and you want to dive under tables and into corners. This is not something that everyone deals with and no one talks about. I know you think it is, but it isn't. I know you feel like you've been really bad at handling life, but the truth is, life has been bad at handling you. It didn't handle you with care, and you deserve to have been handled with care, love, and compassion. When a child has to deal with and go through the things you did, it's no surprise that they don't come out healthy. So please know that you're not to blame, no matter how people make you feel. You're trying your best. I know that now, and I wish I knew that then. The things that happened to you are not your fault, and I know right now you don't even remember these things, but please keep this in mind for when you do. You did nothing wrong. You survived some very painful things, and it left some scars on your brain. Oh, and please put down the blade, because it becomes an addiction, and years later, you won't like the scars on your leg. And put down the bottle, because you're way too young to be getting drunk at all, let alone on a regular basis. You may not know what you're avoiding yet, but you are drinking and cutting to avoid the pain. Pick up a pen and start writing. When the world feels overwhelming and you feel like you're ready to give up, just write it out because it helps, I promise. Some things are going to happen that will land you in a treatment facility, then another one, then a long-term one, then a short-term one after that. I want you to remember that going to these places doesn't make you a failure. It just means that you all needed a little help staying safe. And I say you all because, again, you're not crazy. You have a disorder that comes from trauma. And I know at this point you feel like something happened and you can't remember exactly what. That's because in order to keep us safe, our mind kept parts of our identity separate, and that doesn't make us weak or broken, but rather survivors. When you finally start to have some clear memories of the things that happened, you will be in a safe place, so don't worry about that. I'll tell you now, it will hurt. You will feel so sad and so broken, but the pain won't stay that intense. It'll take a long time to accept and admit that you went through the things you did. In fact, to this day, parts of us still haven't, and that's okay. It's okay because we're working towards healing, and though it may be a slow process with lots of ups and downs, we're still on that road, and that's what matters. There are some things that you will not be able to do because of your mental illnesses. At least not when you want to. This is not me putting you down, but rather expressing the reality of our situation. Today, I can still not drive because I can't do it safely and calmly. It's going to be hard feeling like you don't have all the freedoms and abilities of those around you. Try to focus on what you can do, because there's a lot you can and will do. Turn the pain and frustration into motivation. Work to educate, destigmatize, and help others, because I promise you will find so much joy in it. You may not be able to do everything, quote unquote, normal people can do, but you will do some very important things. Things that will change lives, your own and others. Even today, we have a long way to go. Still have a lot of trauma processing and work in therapy. You will have slip-ups, and so will your other identities, but that doesn't make us failures. It means that we're working to recover. I wish I could hug you right now, because I know how confused and alone you feel. But never forget you are strong, and I love you. Sincerely, future you. When I was 15, I was diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder. When I got my DID diagnosis, things finally made sense. Then they got harder. I didn't want to accept the trauma I had in my past. I wanted so bad to escape that I attempted suicide, which landed me in a residential treatment facility. It was hard being there, but it was what I needed to stay safe. In that facility is where I finally started to have some clear memories of the trauma that I went through and actually began to accept my DID diagnosis. All the parts of me finally began to get to know one another. We found ways to use each of our skills to our advantage. A few years later, at 18, I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. This explained the desperate attempts to avoid my trauma, my hypervigilance, and a few other things. I am now diagnosed with DID, PTSD, depression, and anxiety. I have found my passion is to educate people about DID and mental illness through my work with the National Alliance on Mental Illness and through my YouTube channel. There are a lot of things I wish I could go back and tell my younger self. In fact, this letter started as a therapeutic exercise, and it definitely was. I may not be able to go back and tell my younger self the things I say in this letter, but that doesn't mean I can't tell them to myself now. All parts of myself, and this is my brave.